And welcome on back to Cinematic Epic. I, of course, am your host and game master, Adam. Cinematic Epic is a joyous treat where it's all about trying, bringing your character to life, and following a journey. Being a part of something that's more than just a game, and there's a story, and there's real effort and care put into these narratives and plots that you're going to see played out in front of you. Quick shout out, something that helps build the mood and the ambiance is tabletop audio. Tabletop audio is a great resource, whether you're playing online, playing at the kitchen table, or anywhere in between. It just helps bring your environments together. It gives that extra level of feeling and emotion to your scenes, from the subtle to the extravagant. Last time on Cinematic Epic, we had our first character special. We had our Orlina special. It was a daring tale into the gray, a ghostly place between realms where reapers walk narrow roads that only they can see. The party was able to use a magical device that they created with the help of Orlina that got them there and navigated through this twisting ether, if you will, and they were able to not only slay the creature that had given Orlina so much pause throughout her life and so much trouble, but return her parents to the world of the living, reuniting them as a family, something that Orlina, not even in her wildest dreams, thought was possible. However, this did lead to Orlina leaving our party. So that means that there are some very special things that are going to be happening a little later, so stay tuned. But the show must go on, and so while Orlina will no longer be with us in this tale, we do have a couple of different heroes here looking to continue the story. On their way to the Mud Fort and a whole bunch of other things today. Let's bring on in the party we have. Good old Ian and James.
Hey.
Hey, hello.
Welcome.
Glad to be here.
This will be a little faster as far as our character bits go, as there are only two of them. But let's kick it off anyway. Yeah. Ian, how are we doing?
We're doing great. This is a little strange. I'm usually towards the end of the group, so now being first is a little weird. Good evening. My name is Ian. I'm going to be playing Tavish today. Tavish is a Duhalan. It's a person. He was a person at one point in life, and now he is currently stuck between the realm of life and death, not truly being alive, but not truly being dead. So he is trying to navigate the reason why he is back. And that's Tavish for you tonight.
Yes, a fun fact for Tavish is in the ghostly plane known as the Grey, while Tavish was near eradication at the hands of the monstrous creature they were fighting, he saw chains tethering him to the mortal plane. Where they went past that was something that Tavish can only truly kind of guess and imagine as the story continues to be untold. The story continues to be told with the mystery of what Tavish saw. But we have another hero, and that is played by James. James, how are we doing? Oh, we don't have you right now on your mic.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Go. Yes, we can.
Yep.
I'm doing pretty well. How y'all doing?
Better now.
Yeah, my name is James, and today I'm going to be playing Epsilon. Epsilon's a half-dragon human. He's 6 feet tall. He has fangs, claws, a tail, and horns that crown his head. Last episode, with our adventure in the Gray, I feel like for Epsilon, it's the beginning of being able to feel like he's doing things that can start to match up to, the things his father used to do. So he's on a high point right now in his journey, but he's still got that stress of that debt just on his back.
That's true. That
No!
is true. The timer
Oh,
ever looming closer and closer.
oh,
But yeah, no, yeah. Look, Epsilon. He popped off his flaming spear through the belly of the beast with the explosion. Not a one in sight, which is very uncharacteristic. Usually, you're sponsored by low rolls. Um,
coming through.
but look, we have a whole session ahead of us where your low rolls can creep back up. But there are a couple of things that I want to bring up before we head into that, which is one, a quick little fun fact for any viewers, which is the last time we had these two only for a session was in our first campaign, and it was a brutal affair of barely making it through sewer systems and sparing small peasant boys, and so they don't get killed in gang related, something or others.
Violence.
It was a whole lot of stuff that these two went through. And maybe let's hope it's a little more peaceful this time, but harrowing all the same. As a little bit of a preamble from our last session, one of the things that was not brought up was that our characters did hit their next milestone, so they have gone through that. So they're going to have a few more, abilities and whatnot. We'll cover that as they come up. One of the other things I did not bring up at the end of the last session because I was just so excited about our first special. My apologies. Is the fact that everyone in the party has earned their first minor epic token. Epic tokens are similar to the cinematic tokens, but instead of being something charged into the story and the narrative of the character, these are charged into their actions in combat that they want to employ. And as a special bonus for the rolls rendered by one Epsilon in the session, Epsilon will be working with a medium epic token rather than the minor token that the rest of the party will be participating with. Without further ado, though, let's get into our episode for the evening. The days are a little slower, worrisome for Epsilon, but he's been reassured by Darian that the timing is all still going to work out. There are a few things that need to be taken care of before the party can move on. One of the things that the party's been told not to worry about for now is the fact that they are down a member. Orlina has left the party, returning to Orvasius with her parents. But it's not just Orlina who is gone right now. A celebration of the survivors of Nullhix is being held in the capital district. The king has personally invited Sequoia out to be a part of this, as so many of the survivors attribute her as the reason that they lived. And so she is there as a guest of honor of the crown, leading to some of the hero work to have to be handled by Epsilon and Tavish. In the day leading up to your departure, luckily, Darian was able to secure teleportation via portal magic from Engwin to get you there expeditedly, rather than having to do the journey on foot or by beast. However, you will still have to make it out of the Mud Fort and to the rendezvous point, which is in the connecting roads from Ambervale to Keep Kolak. Other than that, it's a normal day. The party wakes up, Sequoia readies herself early in the morning and then heads out to the capital district to prepare for the affairs that will be going on throughout the day. Orlina's room is quiet, unused and untouched. Though only for a day, it feels like so much longer, as you had grown accustomed to waking up to the smell of muffins and baking and just her general demeanor every morning. The two of you find yourself in the kitchen alone, save for each other, both knowing that you have things to take care of this day. Epsilon, you know that Darian has requested that you come out to the training grounds as he saw what you were putting together in the Gray, and he has a few ideas about how it can be taken even further beyond. Tavish, you know that today is the day in which the blacksmith that you had traded out your armor on the first day you were in Ambervale is officially going out of business, and their doors will be closing. Lending your support to the boy had become a little bit of a side hobby of yours, and you know it will be a day that is rough for the young lad, having now lost not only his family business, but his father as well. And with that, I will let the two of you interact with each other as you are in the kitchen with each other and no one else.
So,
No.
I never once thought I'd be staring down at the world below, thankful that I'd been tethered to it. I don't know about you, but that time in the Grey, we did a lot. Let's hope Orlena spends a good life doing something worthwhile, now that she's got what she's wanted.
I think she's definitely done a hero's work for a life.
Aye,
Serve
but
her rest.
true. Maybe the hero in her is done, but now starts the living. Because it is no longer in the hands of the great big things of the world. Now it's the smaller things, the day-to-day and every day afterwards, that is going to be the reasons that she lives and what she makes next. Have you any hopes of, once you find that thing that allows you to find a place to rest?
Like, pauses. I've never thought about I'm after being a hero. I mean, for my father, he'll never seemed so alive as when training me. Otherwise, I feel like it's like the fire's gone low, you know?
The fire in one's soul is always tantamount to being fed by what we do. We feed it too much from one source, and when that source is no longer available, it can leave the soul to wonder what's next. I do hope for your safe, your own sense, since you are a young lad, that you find multiple sources to keep that fire alive. So I doubt you want that lesson from someone who's half or already dead.
A bell tolls in the distance, denoting two things. One, the passing of an hour, but a chiming of a few other bells denotes the passing of a few individuals as a funeral procession heads through Ambervale. As if all too convenient on the message of undead advice and heroes long past their due. But nonetheless, these bells also inform the two of you that it is time for each of you to make your way to your arrangements. And with that, we will start with Tavish. Look, Tavish, you don't usually get to go first, so we'll start with Tavish.
All right. Epsilon, I hope that whatever you do this day fills you with a sense of accomplishment. I myself have to go and attend to a few things, but we will meet before we head to I presume, England's office for the teleportation to the Mudfort.
All right. Well, I wish you luck on whatever ventures you get up to.
I wish you luck and hopefully a good sense of wisdom for whatever comes next.
Yeah,
And I say goodbye to Epsilon as kind of leave the house.
Waves, and then he trots on off.
As you make your way through the town, Tavish, one of the things that you weren't used to, and in all your more raggedy armor sets, and especially your mismatched set, was people would kind of look, and they wouldn't necessarily grimace, but you could tell that there was this air of like, "Who's that? What?" Oh. But in this prismatic set, as the light from the day hits the armor and kind of almost glows and puts off this aura around you, people smile and tip their hats. They nod. They see you walking around town, and they accept you as one of them. As you make your way to the blacksmith, it is he's doing the final steps of closing it out. He's taking down the sign of the store, and he just is in a general state of distraught.
Did I ever catch the young man's name?
No, his name had not been referred to. You've just been calling him Lad.
Gotcha.
Earth.
Oof. I see that the day
would you
has
like
come,
to would you like to perception check the sign, as the sign does have his last name
please.
with it?
At least the family name.
Let's get a dice check.
Perception for the family.
That's average.
That's average, and it's not a particularly hard thing to do, as it's not like he put the sign in a bag. The sign, the last name is Mervyn's. Mervyn's.
Young Master Mervyn's, do you have a moment?
Oh, Tavish, of course. It's not like I have much else to do.
I have a request, and I understand if this might seem odd to you, but I'm going to be in need of a man who can forge a useful blade, and I know that to be you. Do you have the time?
Of course I do. Yeah. Why
Good.
me? There's way more qualified blacksmiths in Ambervale than I.
To be completely honest with you, lad, I remember what it is like to try and take the charge of your father in his stead, as I attempted to take charge of what my father left to me. And I know how difficult it can do standing alone in the shadow of a man that you respected. I remember how difficult it could be to start anew and start again. And so I wish to take the chance, as I wish somebody had with me, to give you the opportunity to continue working in a manner that you want. If, of course, working with steel is what you want.
And he wipes tears like that were forming in like the sockets of his eyes, and he expresses that I overwhelmed. I mean, but of course, yes, Tavish, though I don't believe myself worthy now, I will strive to one day be worthy of the word.
I stop him before he gets too far and be like, worthy or not is based upon how much you will truly try and how much you will seek to learn. Worth is not in what has been shown, but what can be done for the future, lad. Worry about it not. You've got a good mind on you, and that I've seen firsthand.
As long
So this
as my
is what I'm
shoulder
going
can
to ask
swing
of
my
you.
hammer, you'll have it.
Now, I have no doubt that in the moment, it might be difficult, for admittedly, my work takes me far and wide. So, my times back in the city might be few, and it might be a while before you see me again. So, I'm going to, and I go reach into my purse, and I grab 100 gold.
Hmm.
And I put it in his hand and I say, I don't know how long this will last you.
With some of the closeout, the money I made from the closeout, this will keep me afloat for a bit. I can make do.
Good. I then take out an extra 30 gold and place it in his hand and say, this is my first commission to you. I wish for you to create for me a blade. For as much as as I point to my greatsword, as much as this has been of good use to me, I'll need something smaller. I need something that I can trust and that I can rely upon for when corners or buildings are tight.
Okay.
Is 30 enough to make a blade that is like, I would imagine something kind of like a dirk, in between a dagger and but smaller than in between a dagger and a sword. I'm looking for something that's. Are you familiar with a dirk, lad?
I can get you some designs, and we can go over from there. But 30 is more than enough, at the very minimum, to get it started. I'll make sure you have some options as far as materials and styles. And
Aye. I will be leaving later this day. So take the 30 and hold on to it, make the designs, and when I'm here next we will speak. Sound
Thank
good to
you.
you, lad?
and he grabs like a piece of cloth and like scribbles on it, and then hands it to you. His address that he's staying at in the Commons. As you won't be able to find me here anymore.
Understood. And we will find a way to get the forge, or a forge, to your usage.
I have a small one that I use to practice there, so I can, at the very minimum, get things started. And there's a few blacksmiths still here in the city that were friends of my father's, and they've already offered to lend out space to me, so I'll figure things out, Tavish. I want to make sure that I do my part, too.
Aye, I know you will, lad, and I have no doubt to that. A study and grow smart. I will have need of your services before too long.
Aye, Tavish.
Good lad. Pat him on the shoulder, and I make my way to go before stopping and turning around. Please remind me of the family name again.
Mervyn's.
Mervyn's. Hey, Mervyn's. I've never heard Master Mervyn's. I have a feeling I'm going to rely on you a good bit. Thank you.
He begins to say kind of a similar sentiment of like trying to be worthy, but he stifles himself, and he just kind of goes, I'll make sure, you know, and gives kind of like a nod-ish bow, and then like trots off.
I would like to find a lumber yard, and a lumber yard.
Perfect.
If there is somebody selling lumber.
Yeah, there is Amberville itself doesn't have a lumberyard due to the strenuous nature for a long time with the forest to the south of it. However, on like its port access, there are a bunch of different like trade companies and things like that, and access to different things of the sort. So while you make your way there, let us step over to Epsilon real quick. Epsilon, as you're running and you get into the training square, you know that you arrive maybe 45 seconds, like a minute at most early for the lesson, but there's no one around you. There's no one in the training square. And then all of a sudden you feel arcane energy kind of starting to build up around you. And then it's
Feel like someone about to shoot something at me, like an offensive spell, or is it just magic's in the air?
In this state of the magic, it is unclear, but you do note that like frost appears in one area, static in the air in another. The air begins to wave as it begins to heat itself, and then there's these little flickers of fire. The ground itself trembles and is like raising like dirt, and it like is building. And then each one of these starts to condense themselves, where the freezing air becomes an ice shard, the heating air becomes this fireball, the static cling becomes this vibrating electric ball, and this rock just keeps crushing into itself, making a harder and harder substance. And let's roll a reflex check for Epsilon.
Average.
I was just glad that one rolled by.
You ready yourself to like defend as like all four of these come like flying at you, but then they stop mere like inches away from your body.
Oh.
Do you see the difference in it all? Each one of them. As you hear Darian's voice, and he begins to walk out from one of like the little hallways leading into the arena. How they're so alike, but different.
Yeah, I can see how you've used the same principle out of magic.
Do you know what your issue's been in the past when you try to condense magic?
I feel like I've always tried to do it too fast.
Exactly. When you take magic, especially the more violent aspects of it, the type you prefer, fire. And he creates a fireball in each hand, and then you just try to shove it into a place, and he's like pushing the two magics together, and they swell violently against each other, and they begin to like erupt and explode, and this like darker magic like seeps out from his hands and like covers the flames, and you see it like explode, and the magic expands in this like net bag cover that he does, and this darker looking magic seeps back into him. And there's a way to be able to control this gradually, slowly. And it's something that I think you're ready to learn. Epsilon, when it comes to magic, there's something about the creation of it, something within the very nature of magic that Each one of us leaves our own imprint on it, our own touch. As he talks, the what he says, it feels similar, like you've heard it before, and you can't help but feel small and like childish, like you want to make silly jokes when he says things like, "You have to pour yourself deeper into it to truly understand." You feel this knee-jerk reaction to be silly about words and just context. And you realize this urge is bubbling up from a place of this is a lesson you've heard before. A lesson that, mind you, you didn't pay too much heed to as you were a child. But as you watch Darian talking about all this, you can't help but see Typhon, to see your father, to see the mages and mentors you had at Green Grove's Watch, as they told you all about the different ways of magic. And as Darian continues, you don't even hear his voice. You hear one of the older mages that used to talk to you. Well, there's tons of different types of magics, and there are, some would call, forbidden magics. Not that they're truly forbidden, but it's more the fact that if you don't truly understand its creation, then you won't be able to harness its essence. And you remember asking questions like, well, what are these types of magics? Like, what is the difference? And he explained to you that, well, you have resurrection. Resurrection is something that most mages or paladins and clerics have no way of doing. It's not something that can be done. Say for the hero who did it. And you know, I mean, a hero, a celebrity, if you will, of these parts is the fact that we have our own creator of magical ways, though he does not reside here in Green Grove's Watch with us. As perhaps someday you might even learn lessons from him, as Anguin. Anguin created a whole means of portal magic. It's bizarre. The identity of teleporting or moving objects is something relatively simple. It is something was here and ceases to be so, and it is in another place. This, as far as magical understandings, is quite simple. But to create a bridge in which that two places touch each other, but simultaneously don't, is a massive amount of control. So, portal magic is just something that most mages just never bother to attempt. Yet he's found a way to make it look quite commonplace. I've also heard rumors of mages being able to control people, using some sort of almost playing them like a puppeteer. Controlling their actions and their moves, piloting their bodies, which is another type of magic that overwhelming someone's psyche, their soul, their spark of life is something that is very, very difficult to do, and almost none can do it. But, you know, everyone will find their different way in magic. Epsilon, are you even paying attention to me? And you kind of like snap out of your daydream.
Sorry, I just realized that I think I've heard a lesson like this before.
Interesting. And you've paid it no heed. Why is that?
Well, back when I was in Green Grove Watch, when I was a child, I think I was just too soon for the lesson to really sink in. I don't have the understanding that I do now.
Well, if you say you have the understanding, show me it. Condense magic.
All right.
And we are going to get a dice roll. But before we get that dice roll, what would be your approach to doing this? Describe the setting in which that Epsilon would attempt condensing this magic.
Well, I feel like last time he did it, it seemed like it was more successful, and I think it's because rather than just instantly just trying to put the magic together, he took time to like do some chants and like do some signs to help the process along, help reinforce the situation, like really take his time weaving the magic. So I feel like he's gonna try something similar. But I guess there's also he didn't just try to make like a fireball last time. He like made it into something, so like maybe having a form in mind helped.
Okay.
So he's gonna try to make like a flaming sword.
Flaming sword? All right. So you're going for kind of a slow build into a flaming sword, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Let us see a roll for this, and we are going to give a situational +3.
Hey. Oh, well, that's not that great.
This is an attack roll still, so that does mean your mastery can apply. Would you like to roll it?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Oh my God!
I saw the fire.
Again. If we forget, I was so mad.
Woo!
Oh.
As you're feeling, you're building this energy up. You're trying to keep it condensed. The form it's not quite getting there. The magic is condensing on itself, but something just isn't clicking. How would you approach this? Something's just not quite going right. What's your thought process?
So, if he's having difficulty, so he's condensed it, but he's not able to make the form he's trying to do. I feel like he's gonna try to make something else, I guess, instead. He's gonna change the form that he's going for.
What's the form he's going for, though?
I guess try and instead of making it into something offensive, try to make like a condensed magic barrier or something like that. You know what I mean?
Okay. Let's see that dice roll.
Come on, son.
Ooh, we using mastery on this?
I think I have to.
Let's see it.
Please. That's slightly better.
There we go. As you're condensing it and you're trying to like push it forward, the release of it as it slips out of your control is far more gentle than you've had it before, where it doesn't just violently explode outwards. But as you push your hands out in front of you, you see this condensed magic spread too thin, and then you try to like keep it in its form, but it's moving in too many different directions, and you just kind of like lose like control of like where it's going. However, it does not end in a violent explosion. Well, that's surely a step forward right there. I was more than ready to have to contain your attempt. Perhaps this might help. And he comes up to you and he like holds his fingers out as if he's gonna like touch your forehead, and then goes, provided you don't mind, I use a little magic on you. Do you trust me?
Let me try one more time first. I feel like
He takes a step back. Be my guest.
run it back.
All right, so take me there. What are we doing?
He's gonna try to do a shield again because not something he's been practicing, but it's definitely something that would be good to have in the back pocket.
All right, let us see it.
Oh, hey, that's good. That's good.
And
Oh.
a 19 with your perks does mean it is a crit range 19, so that is a nat 20.
Woo-hoo!
As you condense this magic in, you have that same moment where your hands start to vibrate, and you do feel the strain that you started to feel in the gray that Orlina's father was like healing from you to like keep you like sustained, and so you feel that stress and fatigue. Your elbows begin to ache. You start sweating, but you're able to push the barrier out in front of you, and you make yourself kind of almost like a tower shield floating in front of your hands. It's straining. It's very difficult, but you can tell by the look of it that there is a level of like denseness to it. It's not just a wall of fire that you could pass through while being burned. You know that like you could knock on this substance. There's so much of a weave of magic there.
He's holding it up. He's like, all right, now shoot something at it.
Well, would you prefer me to show you the downside of this, or would you like me to test the merit of your shield?
I feel like you might as well just show me. He's just straining to hold this shit up.
He holds his right hand at you, and then like turns his palm around. Roll me a sturdiness check.
I don't even know if I got sturdiness. Oh, I got one sturdy. I learned my lesson.
You feel that
Sturdy
all he's done is turn, like influence a turn in like your own magic, and like the weight of the condensedness is like turning your body, and you're like having to physically like balance yourself just to keep you from like falling over. And roll me a we're gonna roll, and now this one will not count with your mastery as it does not attack, but we're gonna roll on your fire magic to determine if you're able to like keep your spell together.
That's decent.
The magic, like you're not able to like keep the shield upright, but it goes to like a horizontal plane when you're able to like catch it and like regain control of your stance. That is rather impressive. I didn't expect you to be able to handle the currents moving like that. It's very... And then another voice chimes in. I mean, I guess it's okay. And she begins walking in. Sigma, I didn't know you were going to be joining us. I've been here the whole time. Is this really all the two of you are going to do? Talk about magics? And she like looks over and she like snaps her finger at you. And roll me a stalwart check.
I got one in that. Oh, nah, son.
You feel that she like it felt similar to like a counter spell, like when mages try to like break apart the ties of a magic, but it's like she didn't cast it at your magic. You feel this like momentary blank in your head. Like you, for a split second, forget what you were doing, and then you feel yourself like, oh, and lose control of your spell. Look.
What was that?
Are you really that unfamiliar with jinxes, hexes, and, well, otherwise tomfoolery?
I feel, well, most of the mages, not most of the mages, but my teachers felt that, dishonorable, so they didn't really focus on that portion of magic.
With her right hand, she, like, mimes out, like, a level of, like, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, then hit me with a spell. I mean, that's what you're here to do, right? Practice. And not every opponent's just gonna stand there and let you cast. So come on.
I guess if this is what we're doing, what to do? I mean,
I'll even let you go first. And she, like, crosses her arms and just stares at you.
alright, well, guess it's, I feel like I'm thinking about stuff to do, and nothing fancy's coming to mind. just shoot a beam at her, shoot some fire. Oh god. Okay, so, I mean, I guess started off with something, good old fireball. You know what I'm saying? Just good old.
Perfect.
Started off simple.
Let's see that fireball roll.
Fireball.
That is cocked, but I guess it says it's the 13.
Cock 13.
Yeah.
That is a cheating ass dice.
One of the things you note right off the bat as you, like, focus in on Sigma and attempt to cast, you feel the connection to your mastery over your craft disappear. As if you couldn't reinforce your will over this attack, even if you wanted to. As you begin to, like, start the motion to, like, send out a fireball, she raises a hand like that, and you're going to need to take a reflex check.
No, I wanted that 20.
As you, like, begin to, like, close your hand, all that happens is you feel just a light, like, arcane expansion within your hand, and it stops you from, like, finishing the motion that you were going into. And because of that, your fireball kind of, like, shoots out in a stream of fire in a couple of different directions, and she stands unmoving and then just looks at her nails and begins to, like, clean under them. Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Was that it? And she looks over at Darian. Well,
I understand.
come on.
I see. So, this time, he's gonna do. He once again, just trying to shoot a fireball, but he's gonna, like, basically, like, feint with the left, and then come like he's gonna throw it with his right, but then complete the fireball with his left hand.
Perfect. So we'll start this off with a deception.
I'm pretty sure I'm on tree. Yeah, I got that 0 in deception. Yep, that's real deception.
And then we will see the fire attack. This time, she, like, as you're, like, feinting with the one hand to come with the other, she, like, lifts her arm up and just points at the hand you're actually gonna cast with. And then as the spell comes, like, just tearing at her, All she does when she will roll for this, so she'll roll and on a D30, and we'll see what her roll is real quick, and then I will describe the spell that she goes for.
I swear, if she had rolled a 1, I would have been so happy.
Getting excited for you, just like
as your spell rushes towards her, the only she like is pointing at you like that, and then she kind of like loops her finger and does like and points to her left, and just a little arcane current just kind of has her slide, and your fireball goes like ripping past her and detonates on like one of the back walls of the training like area.
Okay, well, I would like to pull the fire from that just detonated behind her into her.
All right, I dig it. Let's see it.
Oh my god, that one was trying to come out.
It was.
Oh,
it was.
no.
But it didn't. It didn't. We will get another roll from her, and then I will describe her ability.
Damn.
As like the currents are rushing back towards her from behind, she looks at you and she's just kind of back to like cleaning under her nails, and she like starts just kind of like jogging at you, and then she stops, and ever so subtly she like shunts back to her original spot, and she just kind of weaves through the spell that you were bringing towards her. You're able to dispel it easily before it comes close to impacting on you, but regardless, you do have to like pull your spell back towards her. She moves past it in this like graceful dodge, and then you have to like push your fire out so it doesn't like impact on you. Anyway, I hope you get the point that sometimes it's about subtlety. It's about, you know, micro expressions of magic. You know? Anyway, I'm getting bored. When do we leave for this vice quest of yours, Darian? He has some things to take care of on another mission, but we will be heading out soon. I have a couple of other things that I have to attend to. Anyway, Epsilon, I do hope that this helped, and that we can work again together soon. Sigma looks over and goes, yeah, remember your lessons, because sometimes it's the little things that can make a spark. And she kind of like gestures like a snap, and you do note it's easy to put out, but she just like sprouts a flame casually on your shoulder, like on your garments. And we will rejoin, or unless you have anything to say to Darian before he departs.
No, just sitting with the lesson. Thinking about the self-practice you're going to be doing.
Perfect. So we'll head back to Tavish real quick, over in the port and the import-export side of Ambervale. The port is extremely busy. I mean, it's people all around, hustling, bustling, massive like ships coming in, because again, there's a lot of things that Ambervale exports, but there's a lot of things that it imports based on the fact that, especially for lumber, it does not have its own access to it.
I try to get a sense of like, okay, this is where obviously a huge market is. Where is... I'm looking for those who sell lumber and those who consistently sell lumber. I'm also trying to get like a sense of like, where would I go if I'm looking for both lumber and like leather?
Let's use an investigation check for this.
Sweet. I think I have it.
I was gonna say, I can't remember.
No, I have a 1.
Yes, you have a 1. Perfect.
Got a good old
Hey,
roll, though.
and a good roll. So you identify a couple of the major players. One of the biggest ones that that you note is one that is like the business itself is its own entity. However, all of the ships that are rolling through are marked with the port markings of the city of Vice.
Cool.
And another one you notice is much smaller, sleeker crafts, but that are marked with one procurement ink.
No, I knew it. These bastards.
What is the company from Vice called? Do I have a name to that, or is it just?
The company that is working through Vice vessels, or the vessels that are owned or that are marked with Vice. Which one? These are two different entities.
The company that works through Vice, and then, yeah, the company that works through Vice. Is that the sleeker ships of Procurement Inc. or?
No. So there is a business. So basically, the two companies that you note, one is Procurement Inc. The other is. Oh no! Where's my page? Sorry, 1 second.
Take your time.
The other one is World Tree. That is the company that is operating through the Vice vessels, but they themselves are not a Vice business.
Gotcha. I attempt to approach the World Tree actual trading spot, the business side, rather than the actual ships themselves.
It is a cluster at each one of the areas where these merchants exist. It's very they have a list of the amount of supplies that they have, and there's merchants, there's people, just tons of people, buyers basically, all shouting out they'll buy X amount of lumber for X amount of prices, and there's people marking down sales and lowering quantity, or lowering item allotment, etc.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and leave that particular World Tree. I'm also going to... Did I get a sense of any of the smaller businesses that were also doing work
all of the business, save as you look around, save for Procurement Inc., it seems that all of the businesses operate in a very their supply is limited, and so it's a seller's market.
Gotcha. Okay.
Damn.
Did I get a sense of what the size of the shipments and their prices? Can I investigate
yes.
and kind of figure out information?
So you don't need that's all posted. It does seem that the majority of what they do is in large quantity. So people are buying in it seems that 500 gold is the lowest buy-in that most places are even offering, though it seems 2,000 is more the average, because when someone goes I'll buy X amount for 500, someone with more money is going I'll buy double what he's buying, and I'll pay double 0.5, double and some. And then they're
gotcha.
well,
okay, so
never mind, then he's gonna get it.
Gotcha.
The only place that isn't operating like that is Procurement Inc.
How bad do you want your lumber?
Pretty bad, but I want. I go inside Procurement Inc.
As you get closer to it, it is an actual little building area, rather than all of the other ones, which are more carts and pop-ups. As you get there, the hustle and bustle as the doors open before you even touch the handles. and close without you closing them. The sounds of the bustling dock fade away. The smell of fish, and water, and sea are all gone. It's quite pleasant. The sweet scent of lavender and vanilla float through the air, and a man looks up from the counter and goes, "How can I help you?"
I'm curious about procuring supplies, both wood and leather, for a project. But I have to admit, I don't quite know in what bounties you're willing to sell.
Well, here at Procurement Inc., we like to think that it's always a buyer's market. So, how much are we looking for? And when are we looking for it?
A small amount to start. The potential for larger growth, but this venture is not backed by anybody other than myself. So it is tantamount to not standing the test of time.
Sounds like you need a money man. Judging by your... And he, glances around. By how heavy your purse is. Sounds like this might not be something within your means. Though there are other ways to secure that.
Guy's evil.
So I have heard. But how much can I get with what I have first is truly my question.
What do you have? 130-ish on you?
Only 100.
Huh.
But you're close.
Let me see. And he flips, you hear him rifling through some pages and some books, opening, closing things. I could get you a fair bit. It wouldn't be the highest quality lumber, but it would be obtainable. And how much are you looking for? Are we building a gazebo? Are we talking a building?
We're talking enough for repairs. The buildings that I hope have already been built, but they need a little something extra to make them substantial.
Interesting. And where would these be delivered to?
The first wall of the mud fort.
Dum dum.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Your delivery alone is going to be more than 100 gold.
I figured that might be the case. What is the true number?
Well, depending on the
Of
amount
just the
of...
delivery alone.
Oh, well, it partially depends on how many deliverers have to go to do it. But you're looking at around 175 per person.
Understood. That is good information for me to have. I thank you for that. But
Not a problem.
No. If you can help me find a second thing.
It's our job to
A
procure.
while ago, I give him a description of my old armor, and if he could find something like that.
Something actually had just come through this office. It was on one of the ships that went out earlier today.
No.
That's unfortunate. I would have been happy to make a trade for that. You wouldn't happen to know in which direction it was being carried by the wind, would you?
Of course I do. It was on one of our ships. It's off to our main office in Vice.
And is there a procurement number? A way that I could easily tell people to identify it if I find my way to Vice, that is.
Well, we here in Ambervale have to follow Ambervalian law, which means that that contract is confidential. I'm afraid I can't willingly espouse
I totally
who the
understand.
buyer. However, our operations and Vice operate quite differently. So I'm sure you'll find that they're quite more amenable over there for a cost.
I think, of course, everything for a cost. I can't expect anybody to to pass information without getting their own worth out of it.
Exactly. Time is money and secrets are sense.
Aye. I thank you for your time. I hope that you have a wonderful day. I turn and then seek to leave the establishment.
And to you. And the doors open without you touching them, and they close without you closing them. And again, the hustle and bustle of the docks rips back into the surroundings. You would note as you're kind of like walking around the docks, even just a little bit, that while it's still very early in the day, most of the vendors are closing up shop, having sold or pre-sold their deliveries that they have gotten or are expecting to get within the coming like day. And like most of them are like, "Whew, all right, hard day's work. Well, we'll see you tomorrow," and are like leaving the dock as if all of that they've come to do is done.
What time of day is it? What is it like? Mid morning?
Yes, yeah. We're still, we'll say 9:30ish a.m.
I look to one of the gentlemen that I see like actually packing up and be like, "Done for the day already, or is it just a busy day today?"
I mean, the fact that most of us are still here, even though it's 9:30, a little slower today, in all honesty. But business is good. Any day you sell out, not going to complain.
I have to admit, I'm not from around these parts. What time of the morning do you arrive here? If you don't mind me asking, of course.
Most of us are getting here probably around 2 to 3 in the morning, depending on when we know our ships are coming in. But typically, the sale day, basically we won't open up any bills of sale until about 6. It's kind of the agreed upon dock procedure.
Understood. Thank you for that information, my friend.
Of course.
I'm glad to see that you had such a good day, even if it was slow.
He nods and then kind of gets back to like closing up his area.
I go ahead and head out of this particular business port area, so that way I can kind of be a little frustrated with it. Admittedly, probably would go to the training grounds to see if I can swing my sword a bit.
On your way to the training grounds, you would run into Epsilon, and the two of you would kind of like realize at this point that it is getting closer to the time in which that you need to head off to the Mages Guild, lest you dilly-dally too long in Ambervale, and time runs out for Epsilon.
No!
But with the two characters pondering this, we are going to go ahead and take our 5-minute break. We'll be right back after this as our party here heads to the Mud Fort.
The Mud Fort!
And welcome back. All right, we've seen our 2 party members go around town, but of course, I am Adam, just in case you're joining us at the halfway mark. Our 2 heroes have been going around town, getting a little bit of their side work done, if you will, some training, some important character building for Epsilon, both in his abilities and him mentally, how he approaches magic. Tavish went around and stopped by the blacksmith, found out his last name as he had never bothered to check, and gave the boy a new purpose while also interacting with Procurement Inc. Where's that going? Maybe someone wants to make a new deal. But it is now time for us to turn our attention to the Mud Fort as our 2 heroes make their way to Angwin's office to be teleported, to portaled to the Mud Fort. Let's bring our boys back in.
All right.
So the 2 of you
I've never
travel. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Never enjoyed these portals of his. Feels weird and unnatural.
I mean, some people would say that of magic in general, I guess. Some people would say that about you.
Hey, I imagine they would. Good thing they're never going to know. Well,
True.
that's not true. Some people know and others do. Others don't. There's no point in turning too many with what is truth. At least on this front.
I agree.
No, that's not right. I say that, but I don't wish it to be true.
Want people to know?
No. It's better off they don't know. Too much fear. I'd rather not breed fear. We must look to what I can do first. But we must do this with Angwin. Let us see what this magic master decides to do today.
Yeah. Careful about this guy. I don't trust him really.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Lad, I've never trusted him, even if... I don't trust him half as far as I can throw him.
As the 2 of you arrive at the Mages Guild, the mages at the front just let you in. They don't even bother asking, as if they already just know that you're expected. Same with heading up to Angwin's office. Same with being let into Angwin's office. As you get in there, you recognize quite a few of the faces in the room. It's the man and woman that you saw leaving his office. They're both casually sitting in his office. And of course, the nervous serpent Scipio that Epsilon you saved in Cicero that you saved in Nullhix. Sitting at his desk is Angwin, and he looks up and he goes, yes. I did have a deal to send you out, didn't I? Well, come. How are the 2 of us doing today?
Master Angwin were doing quite well. We were not made aware that you would be having company. Is this an inopportune moment?
No, this will but take a moment of my time. And he stands up and steps over to where he puts his portals in his office and begins crafting the energies.
I turn to the two that are sitting on the couch, and I simply address them. Apologies for the interruption in your conversation. Hopefully, we shall make this quick and not take up any more of the time that you two have spared for him.
I'm watching this man like a hawk to see what he's doing to craft this portal. Like if I had binoculars, I'd have binoculars on, looking at this man right now.
Roll investigation.
I got a 0 investigate.
The biggest thing that you notice is that, like, however he's doing this, he's also very purposefully not letting you just watch him. Like, you'll watch as his hand draws like an L. We'll just use that as an example. Yet the symbol that appears is not that symbol. The gestures he's making don't correlate to the magic as it's activating, as if he knows how to do everything out of sequence.
Okay.
And Tavish, to you, the woman just kind of like crosses her arms and like turns herself away from you and like doesn't respond or acknowledge your statement at all. The other one stands up and goes, "No, it's fine. It's interesting to see some of the other happenings that Angwin has going on. I take it you're Tavish and Epsilon."
You are well informed, master. I wait for him to fill in the blank.
Names aren't important.
Aye, but I feel myself at such a disadvantage when you know mine, and I can't give you the proper respect without knowing your own.
Then consider yourself at a disadvantage.
This dirty dog.
Not so much as a disadvantage more than being rude, my dear friend, but I understand the notion you're given. So, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, sorry for taking up your time with Angwin.
He sits back onto the the couch-ish seat that he's on, and he just kind of puts his hands up and kind of like joyfully watches the two of you kind of just standing in the middle of the room.
I'm processing.
Oh God! All right.
So
I wait for Angwin to open. Let me know when Angwin is done with his spell. Let's put that down.
So are you two heroes as well?
In a manner of speaking, I guess, yeah. But aren't we all the hero of our own story?
Well, I'm not sure I've ever heard a hero say something like that before.
Fair enough, I guess.
I mean, but to each their own, I suppose. Yeah. Like, thinking about what I seen this man Angwin doing. I want to look real quick also. Can I look, since he always did the portal in the same spot, can I look at like that spot from where I'm standing and see like, does it look like there's something set up there that allows him to do this as well?
Yeah, let's roll a study arcane.
You know what? That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. One of the things that, while the exact magics are still lost on you a little bit because Angwin is so ornate with the way he weaves his spells and enchantments. You can definitely tell that it's like a 3 circled little like area they build up on top of each other, and each circle has a different level of like stability, power, like infusement that lets like casts in that specific area be like amplified and benefit from like the it as a source.
Okay. I'm learning. I'm learning. All right.
So, are you heading somewhere dangerous? Says Cicero.
Yeah. I suppose you could say that. Mudford is got many dangers.
Dreadful place, dreadful. No, wouldn't go. Wouldn't go.
I don't know. There's some interesting magic to be studied, though. Oh, the primal magic. Well, if it's primal, magic that surges through Mudford is something that deserves to be studied.
Accidental.
What do you mean accidental?
I believe that might be a gross understatement. The shamans of the orcish people had some sort of dealing with something.
Yes, but no. Wasn't intentional. Not intentional at all. No. Accidental. Didn't account for the variables. No. Yes.
I mean, are you saying that's
powerful.
Why it's...
If you don't mind. What variables would you say were missed, and why it caused such a skew? Between
control,
what they might have asked for and...
primal magics, wild magics, they twist, and they go wherever they want to go. If you don't account for their whims, then you're going to get variables, and they didn't account for the whims, and so thus unforeseen side effects happen. Accidental permanencies and such. Yes. At this point, Angwin has finished his portal. Well, there you have it. Your chariot awaits.
I look to Angwin, and I'm certain that this chariot, just as the last one, is always of such quality. I turn back to the Mr. and Mrs. Smith and say, I hope that your chat about with Angwin is as if I can get the words out, is as enlightening as your time. And then I step through the portal.
I lost you on that last part of your sentence. Could you repeat that?
Gotcha. I hope that your conversation with Angwin is just as informative as your time in the Grey. And then I walk through, give him a slight nod, and walk through the portal.
He just kind of smirks back to you and gives you like a... fun friend you have.
Yeah, he's great at parties. I'm gonna walk over the portal, and I'm gonna look at Anglin, and I'm gonna be like, "Have the day you deserve." And I'm just gonna go through the portal.
As you were walking through, you hear him go, "Excellent as always."
I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
And the two of you find yourselves just like on the barrier of the mud fort. Like, so it is, you're not like into its actual territory, but like you're at the first wall. Tim is waiting for you, and he sees you, and he waves you both over, and he shows you that there is an orcish convoy that is going to take you to the mud fort. The travel is quick, as they travel by a similar contraption to what you saw the Palumbi's raiders use. These like mud slick boards that just kind of seem to propel themselves across the surface of the mud in this like mud rider kind of style. As you get to the mud fort proper, the mud fort itself is a fortress that rivals that of even Ambervale in its scope and size. Its walls look indomitable. Its gates look unbreachable. Across every turret, every tower, you see defense net. You see like trebuchets. You see catapults. You see ballistas. You see like orc soldiers mounting like the way on every step. And then ingenious little twists that they have like near their gate where they are using like the mud to their advantage. They have like little guard stations, but like slicks of mud that like flow like across the like in opposite channels from like the inner workings of the gate, that they kind of use like a drawbridge to like let people in and out of. So that walking or traveling through it without the drawbridge, this mini drawbridge inside their own gate, would be extremely perilous. As you're led in through the drawbridge, you're brought in, and despite all of these extra steps and security and things like that, the mud fort on the inside is just as muddy as everywhere else. The shops, the streets, the buildings, the people, mud. Mud, 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 and more mud. As you slosh through the city streets, you are finally brought to a larger, like, capital-ish looking building. Though, despite the fact that you can tell it is their seat of power, it looks no less like part of the defenses of the city, as if every building, every shop, every just thing you interact with looks like it is just another defensive point within the building, or within the fortress. The orc that's been walking with you goes, "You will be meeting with Gumby. He is the first to meet with you with these papers." And he continues walking. "Be on your behavior. You don't want to end up like the other diplomats from Ambervale." And he makes a gesture to like a set of spikes to the right side of the entrance to the Capitol building, and it is 8 different heads with like the adornments of diplomacy still like wrapped around like their faces and ears and things like that.
Interesting, but we're not diplomats, so I think we'll be fine.
Of course you're not. You're just here to talk about change and differences that Ambervale can make. Anyway, and he walks you up to a door. The door doesn't seem any more special than any other door. "This is Gumby's office. Well, he sleeps here too. It's just kind of his room."
Thank you.
Thank you.
"Sure." You note that like this group that's traveling with you, while they are staying outside of the door, none of them seem to like wander away as if they're just going to stand outside the door this whole time.
I will knock
I
on the
ignore
door.
him and go in. Or knock.
Oh,
The orc standing next to you after you knock, he grabs the door and opens it for you.
and now walk on in with my
Just
boy.
go in.
As you walk in, you see an orc just tirelessly like writing and desperately trying to keep like his desk mud free. And despite the fact that it doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere, there just seems to be more mud yet again. The orc looks up at you and goes, "Oh, yes. You must be the heroes from Ambervale that I've heard so much about. I am Gumby." So,
And I am Tavish.
And I'm Epsilon.
Well,
what
met.
of Orlina and Sequoia?
Sequoia is being celebrated for previous action in Ambervale as we speak. Orlena found what she was hoping for, and has since
You retired.
Praised, you say? Previous action? Tell me about it.
Are you familiar with the city of Nolhix and its destruction?
Vaguely.
We four were there when it happened. Sequoia made the promise and the move to save as many lives as she could. Those survivors are honoring her this day as a thanks for her actions to make certain as many as they could be saved.
Sorry. For the first time, since you've entered the room, he actually puts down the pen and paper and looks up at you and goes, "So perhaps Galatrax wasn't exaggerating your heroism. Well, go on. I'm sure you have some sort of pitch, how you can make the Mudfort better, and fix our problems, and how Ambervale is the way."
No. The problems of the mud fort must be solved within. That a mud fort and your people, as I've known them to be, will not accept outside aid. Not without... Well, forgive me if I say it. Not without it being earned. I don't offer any sort of deal that would make you any more powerful without expecting anything in return. What I ask and what I want to do is to set up the ability for you and Ambervale to treat and interact with each other as equal.
Interesting. Enlighten me.
I believe that the better way to try
Not
and
you.
get...
You.
No! Well, from our travels, it seems that the thing that the orcs want from Ambervale is trade. So that is the best thing that we can offer that makes sense. I mean, and then on the other hand, as heroes, we can try to solve other issues. But as far as Ambervale goes, that is the best thing we can offer.
And what, pray tell, did you have in mind for all this trade?
Well,
I think that the first thing that could be traded is mud wine.
Go on.
Ambervale lacks a strong drink Something that puts hair on the chest and is a true testament of what a man from Ambervale and an orc from the Mudfort may actually enjoy, separately or together.
It is true. Never had anything like mud wine till I came here.
And how would you propose that these trades be made?
I am going to propose an outpost on the outside of the first wall. One that would be stocked by orcs and those from Ambervale. I have no doubt that, well, there might be some things from the outside world that would enjoy for themselves and need. Believe that a place of trade between your two nations would be a better way to start respect.
You can even just think about all the varieties of food that you could get from this trade of mud wine.
And I think
No.
first, the medicine that could be taken if there was an opportunity to trade mud wine for medicine. As I've seen in the hospital and the outside the first wall, how they needed it. And I can only imagine that that is true for here in the Mudfort itself. A way to preserve your own lives. Even if it is...
I've heard your pitch. I've heard your pitch.
Then I will cease it.
We don't have the financial infrastructure to keep something like that afloat. The manpower
I am not
could
going
be
to say
achievable.
this.
You have a backer in
I
mind.
was not going
then. Who?
Aye. Admittedly, I was going to start with the king. He will not sign away on it properly at first, and so I must first ask and try to find a way to make mud wine palatable, or at least get a market in Ambervale for it. Its magical properties speak to the guilds of mages, but I imagine that any and many, as well as its merchants, might seek it once they finally have their own tastes.
Convince me. Look me in the eyes. Tell me you mean well. For the Mudfort and its people. You may choose any of your charisma stats to be used.
Understood. I think I
Yeah,
use Inspire then, because I have 3 in Inspire, and I'd like to flavor this.
Sure.
Do I have... Is the door open behind us?
No. They closed it.
Tavish takes off his helmet, gets real, and then sits and stares at the orc's eyes and say, "As he's neither living nor dead, I believe that the best way to do anything is with the clarity of knowing that one's life will never truly see the benefit of what they have done, and that we must do what we can for the generations that come after us to do the best with our lives in these moments." And I'll use Inspire for that.
Let's see the roll. Inspire.
That's pretty decent.
I will...
Fine. We'll have a drink to it. And he pulls out some glasses. And he pulls out some mud wine. And he starts filling the glasses. And he puts the bottle down. I'm gonna trust you. To trust you both. You'll leave with some mud wine casts so that you can do your trial in Ambervale. If your king is willing to make a deal, I am willing to talk. And he grabs his glass. Sorry for the small glass, but I have work I need to be able to focus on. He says this, but this glass, for both of you, would be like over a pint.
Fuck me. What do I do? Oh, I think I have to just take it to the head.
Yep, we have to.
For the cause.
May the next ones that we share be even larger, and be the proper size, where work is not a worry afterwards. And goes for it.
He drinks it.
Fuck me.
And let's get
no.
a fort check for both of you.
Oh god.
I can't see what I did.
I can't see
rolled
my...
a 20,
Oh, you got a nat 20.
Baby. I took it to the head, baby.
Hey, let's go.
I'll breathe fire
You
afterwards.
did pretty good.
Yeah, Savish, again, you feel what you've kind of felt before, like an actual feeling. The remnant of a taste, like something tingle through your whole body, and for the briefest of moments, you feel tipsy. It fades just as quickly as it comes, but there's a moment where you feel that little giddiness, that little like chuckle in a thought, and then it goes away. Epsilon, you feel as it hits your stomach. At first, while you're drinking it, you're like, "Oh my god!" And you start to get like that light sweat on your forehead as it ceases to feel like a taste, and it's just this raw burning down your gullet. And then you feel this power, this arcane energy rippling through your body, giving this warm, tingling sensation. And you realize, like, in this moment while you're drinking it, part of what makes mud wine so potent is it's directly infused with the arcane.
That's good to know for later. I start, like, just playing with fire.
If you don't mind me, though, I do need to get back to work. They'll take you to your next meeting. I believe you're meeting with Garrock, so good luck with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, heroes.
Pick up my helmet.
Oh, sorry.
I pick up my helmet.
For what it's worth.
Back on. That was all perfect.
Yep, you're good. For what it's worth, heroes, I had only taken this meeting because Galatrax spoke so highly of you. I will take the next meeting on your merit. Safe travels.
I bow to this man. Just give him a good old, yeah.
And good luck to you.
Oh, no.
I point.
And he resumes into his work.
We leave him. I presume that we leave him. I'm going to leave him and just go ahead and walk over and close it behind.
Fucking drunk
Once
on
I-
So
power.
you kept your heads, huh?
Yep.
I look. I presume that's the orc who was walking us here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Aye, I still have it on my head, on my shoulders. It's what happens when you actually don't send politicians to do actual work.
There's a general chuckle from the orcs. As they hit kind of a halfway point in the Capitol building, there is a different group of orc guards. Their armor is a little darker. They wear heavier metals, less leather, less chain, more plate. Their armor is adorned with more spikes and like brutal heraldry, and they like stop the group. You're not coming past. Though he doesn't seem to be talking to you two, he seems to be talking to the other orcs. And there's kind of like a general standoff before the orc goes, "Well, go on. You're with them now."
Just easily transfer.
This new group
I turn
walks. I'm sorry.
Turn back to the old group and kind of give them a wave or a little salute.
They've already turned around and started walking the other direction.
Then never mind.
You go turn and they just gone. Oh.
The other group, while they were definitely trained, they had a little bit more of a casual grouping around you. This group, while not outright hostile, you can tell they've got left-hand dominant fighters on one side of you, right-hand dominant fighters on the other. All of their weapons are always faced towards you at all times, even when in a casual position, as if the whole group is always ready. They have orcs with shields and swords closest to you, orcs with larger weapons like axes slightly further away. And at the edge of their group following you are orcs with spears. Trailing behind the group are a few orcs with crossbows, and at the front of the group is the only orc who does not brandish his weapon as he walks. "You're going to be meeting with Garrock. If he complains, he'll kill you. I'll kill you. They'll kill you. In fact, make him complain. I haven't." And he, gets a little closer to Epsilon. "I haven't killed something that smells like you before. You're not quite human, are you?"
Yeah, I'm something more.
"Or less." And he turns back around and keeps walking. And they get to a door. This door is far more reinforced looking. The brutal heraldry that these orcs continue, and there is a large mounted, draconic-ish looking skull at the top center of the door, and the door is then lined vertically with different skulls. You would note that each one has names next to it, as if depicting some sort of title or merit behind the victory. The orc in front pushes the door open and then kind of goes,
And in we go.
Go in.
standing over a battle map looking thing. You can tell it is the mud fort, the first wall, the mountains, and there's tons of different military pieces all about. And you just hear the grinding of a stone over the blade of an axe while Garrock stands above the table. "So, you two are the heroes that I've heard so much about. That sniveling little brat of mine kept talking about you. But Palumbi says you could be useful. So, explain your worth." And he spits off into the corner. And he slumps himself into a chair that is more than a chair, but less than a throne. "Nervous?"
No. But I don't know if it's best to say that whether our worth is nothing, or if we're more of an opportunity. You strike me as an orc that looks for those who are trying to find a way to take from you what is yours. And you'll not find that here. What you see here is less of what you've seen before. Different, maybe. I don't see anything that the orcs need from Ambervale, other than any sort of military might. Simply by walking in your city as you've permitted us to do, I see that the Mudfort has no need for any strength of arms from Ambervale. What I see is a need economically, a trade route to call their own. Lord knows you will not do that with Keep Kolak, and I do not blame you. Why trade with those who had once seen you as part of what they owned? Ambervale, misguided in their thoughts at the time, I imagine might be no different to your eyes. But where you see a shell, I see chain. A way to slip past them to benefit yourselves.
You're speaking
Something
too
that
many
could be
words. Say your point.
I want to see the orcs rise from lambs to lions. I want to see the orcs actually have their own stance, rather than being viewed as a plaything by others.
You know what your accent reminds me of?
Tell me.
It reeks of old Aurelian. I was a boy the first time I heard that accent. It was... And he gestures over his shoulder, and like next to his like war map kind of thing, there's like a small parchment, and it looks like there's some area to like write out like tasking orders and things like that. And there is a skull at the desk where he's just keeping all his quills and pens. He was old Aurelian. He came to keep Kolak. What was his name? It's hard to even remember these days. Coulter, I think. And as he utters that name, we're going to take a quick sidebar with Tavish.
No!
Oh.
The utterance of that name has you rip through your memories as if something triggered deep within your subconscious, and you remember. Yeah, it was Coulter. Coulter, you sent Coulter with something to the Mudfort. It was to aid something, to aid. Yeah, it was to aid the orcs. You heard that they were fighting a fight for their independence, and you wanted them to have, the means in which to secure their own freedom. You were always surprised it was such a simple mission, but Coulter never returned. You figured he was found out by someone at Keep Kolak. And the memory ceases. And we can return.
Cease it. Understood.
And return to the group. He spoke of freedoms from a kingdom that means well. My father skinned him, boiled him, mostly while he was still alive. You speak in half-truths.
Then let me enlighten you to the full truth. I take my helmet off again and place it right on the
His
chair
secret
next to me.
technique.
God, I'm having to show this so many times. I don't
His
like
secret technique.
Shut up. And I place it there. Here's the full truth. There's a reason I sound like them. I was one.
Was he a friend of yours?
I believe he was a subordinate.
Well, now he's a penholder.
Still of use one way or another.
Some dark humor. Epsilon shakes his head.
What about you? What's your proposal?
I mean, we have the same proposal. I believe that, as he said, there's nothing militarily that anyone could offer that would even make sense for the Mud Fort to entertain. The only thing I've heard orcs ask for is for trade, for some way for some method of trade, and I believe that the best thing would be for that is an orc-controlled trading outpost. But other than that, as I said before, I believe you would have heard from Columbia what we did in the mines. Like, personally, we can offer is heroism. If there's some issue that we can take care of for you that would assure you of our sincerity.
Would you help us retake what we've built?
You're referring to Keep Kolak?
I am. It should be ours. If battle
What
were
if you
to come
find-
there, where do your swords fall?
On the top of my head, in my mind, can I see what is the relationship between Amberfell and Keep Kolak?
Ambervale and Keep Kolak have long been allies. It historically is how the two of them were able to resist joining the old Aurelian Empire.
Ah!
My blade would be turned to make certain and to see what good the future may hold. The orcs were abused in a long past that is not too distant. Sometimes to do the right thing means undoing old wrongs.
I can see why they sent you as their not a diplomat. You speak wonderfully in half-truths. Perhaps your blade can speak better.
And he stands up and brandishes his axe at you.
Oh shit!
I stand up with him and pull my sword. Then let our steel taste one another.
and he's gonna just open up with he leaps with like a surprising like distance, while the two of you are probably around 10-ish feet away from each other, split by the table. He easily closes that distance, leaping over the table himself, leaping over the entire table, and he's like on you with a full swing. You can tell it's not aimed lethally, but it is also far from like a training level swing kind of thing.
Gotcha. I'd go for the parry. Two-handed parry with the sword, and kind of like one hand on the blade, one hand on the hilt.
Mm-hmm.
To stop it and kind of twist it. So it's going, instead of at and like to hit, but like at and over.
Perfect. And we're going to do something we haven't done in a while, which is a good old-fashioned roll-off. So Tavish versus Garox D30.
No, I knew it. Why'd you say it? Not the 4, bro.
Yeah, can I use mastery on this roll?
Yeah, sure.
I would like to use mastery on this roll then.
Mastery.
This 4 is no bueno.
That's a little bit better.
Wow.
A little better.
Okay. Whatever.
Okay. As like you're able to like lock into the axe and like stop the actual impact, but as you try to like twist, you realize his blow is far from that of like just a brutish swing, and he like has his axe is like perfectly between like the pivot points of your blade, and you realize he's got it like kind of pinned in, but he doesn't continue the pressure, and he just lets himself kind of collapse on you, and his shoulder impacts like into your like face area. You know that like if it wasn't for the fact that, well, you know, you're not exactly flesh and bones, the impact would have like broken your nose up into your face, probably caused like damage to your lips and things like that. And while that damage is still done, it's far from the disorienting blow that it would do to someone in a more true to life sense.
Human.
You mean like me, standing next to him watching this happen?
Yep.
Exactly. And you stagger back like 2 steps. He does not pursue the attacks. He just kind of readies himself and gives like a gesture of like,
show me what you got.
I go for a kind of diagonal attack on him, aiming more for the shoulder through like here, to go for like, I know he's going to do it, and I'd like to do a feint to the other side.
Perfect. What he's doing is he's bringing his axe around, and then he's like shoving like a hooked part of the axe towards like the hilt of your blade in an attempt to like kind of like lock it and like overpower you with his bicep strength. So let's get yet another roll off.
Come on, bro.
Is mastery still acceptable, or
Yes, of course.
How many? Of course. Cool. Mastery, please. Because I'm not liking these low rolls. This is ridiculous.
Bruh!
What?
Oh my god!
What? I feel robbed right
As you begin to like switch the feint around, he catches into the hilt of your blade, and again you find yourself like the absurd level of strength that he like pushes in, and he kind of collapses your blade like to your chest and like shoves you back a few feet. And Epsilon, roll me a reflex check.
Oh, I have reflexes. I got one reflex.
You're able to like start to move back. Whether or not you would have made it out of the way, you're not 100% sure. But as he like pushes Tavish back, he like spins his axe around in a flourish, and then it like comes towards your chest as you're like backing up, and he like looks at you and goes,
Okay.
and he steps back and goes,
Your words speak volumes to how you fight. These feints, these parries. I'll tell you what. A time will come where you will have a choice to make. If you do, we'll know what side you're on. Whether it's orc or oppressor. For now, that's the door.
I take my leave.
Linger. Grab the helmet and put it back on. We'll have to do it again. Nod and walk out.
he just kind of like looks at you, and there's an element you can tell where it's like a mixture of like, you know, there's part of him that's like, good for him for wanting to like go again, and there's another part where you can tell there's this malicious hunter aspect of it where like he in that instance like is sizing up, like you feel like he's looking at your entire body, sizing up every aspect of like what he would do if it wasn't non-lethal. And you exit the room.
Yep.
His group of orcs take you back to the center area of the capital. And that original group is there. And they're like,
well, I guess it's time for you to be on your way. These papers are done now.
and they start to take you out of the capital when an odd orc steps up to you. He looks every bit genetically orc, though he is pale. Or at least painted to be pale looking.
Please, I have one more person for you to meet with, and the papers are filled.
And he shows properly signed papers.
I looked at Tavish and was like, shall we do
Tavish.
one more? Sorry, Epsilon.
He looks at
Wow, that was a
himself.
slip of the tongue. I look at
Right in the
myself.
mirror.
Shall I do one more? I think I will.
Oh. I would like to roll an insight with my big zero real quick on this man before we wander off with him.
Sure.
May I do as well with my big one?
Of course.
Ayo. 8.
I swear, if I would have gotten a 1 on that, I would have been so mad. Like, that's the highest roll I've gotten all pretty much this session.
The two of you both realize that whoever this entity is in front of you, he's very much heavily devoted to whoever he talks about. He seems to be speaking honestly, but there is a level of fervorism in his words.
Well, shall we? We came to help.
Let us see. Please. Wow.
He takes you on your way, and you leave the Capitol building. And though it's only about a street away, you get closer to a more ornate building than you're used to seeing within the Mudfort. It doesn't seem to have quite so much of a military look to it. The other thing you take notice to is the fact that you're every bit as surrounded by guards as you were before. These ones just wear robes and civilian clothes. They seem to lurk around you more than they do organized follow you. As the two of you enter this ornate building, for the first time in your entire stint in the Mudfort, whether it's been the Mud Flats, the Mud Falls, or now the Mudfort proper, you hear the click of stone underneath foot, and not mud. Orcs immediately come over to the both of you and begin wiping down your armor and your shoes, and you are cleaned from head to toe of all mud. They came silently, they leave silently. The orc that came to you gestures you to follow him, and he walks you to the edge of the end of the room. Sitting in the chair, he goes,
Please, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Luminary Zuzu. So, you are the two that I've heard about. You must be the gallant knight Tavish. Though patchwork does not seem to fit you anymore. And the budding mage Epsilon. You travel without your other compatriots, one of which has left your party now. Peace can do that. Finds its own way of breaking things up. I hear the two of you want to make a difference here in the Mudfort. And for the orcs in general. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Aye.
Well then, I have a proposal. A while ago, I, maybe foolhardily, attempted to make a difference by procuring some food, medicine, supplies in general. But it seems that the deliveries shall not be rendered forth to me because of where I live. Perhaps great heroes like yourself could remedy this for me?
Forgive me for asking, Luminary Zuzu. Why us?
Are you not here to make a difference? Do you not speak of heroism? The differences that your valor could make? Supplies?
Aye.
and resources.
We make those words, but we make those words, and admittedly, we're not part of this. And so it makes me wonder why you would want help from hands that may not be orcish. I've known orcs to be proud. Well, I'm happy to help. I just have to ask the question.
Call me a believer in the old ways, the nomadic ways, where Orc was truly embracing of all culture. The way I see it, Tavish, is that by helping me, you are Orc.
And he like touches your breastplate.
Where's this delivery supposed to be coming from?
My delivery is being held on the coastal city of Vice.
Who holds it?
A group that goes by Procurement Inc.
What cause do they say they have for holding it?
No real cause, but more gold. Now, all of a sudden, delivery fees are exponentially higher than they were when we agreed upon them. Understandably, it's hard for me to get representatives out to such a far-reaching place. Our emissaries, our scouts, our travelers are not so welcomed in the world. Intolerance and all as it is.
How would you have it make it clear to them that we are your representatives?
Bill of sale, I feel like, would be the simplest option.
And he holds his hand up, and out of his like robe, a scroll like comes out,
Magic.
and he gestures it.
I take it from him to look, or, well, I do not look at the details of the bill of sale at this moment. Aye. Honor that is easily to be seen and known. Let's say they wish something of you. How much would you be willing to let us as your emissaries say is acceptable? Or is not? I will not
Well,
write a
Tavish,
check for you to fill.
I have a feeling I can trust your judgment. I have a feeling soon I could call you Orc.
I thank you for such a gracious turn. Let us see what we can do. And you can base the merits of that afterwards.
Well, I appreciate the efforts, of course. Just imagine how many lives we can save together.
Game to help.
Let us see. We are to assist.
As a token of my appreciation, of course, Epsilon. You seem to like magic, don't you?
Yes, that is true. I do enjoy Magic.
Well, it is not our forte. I do have a small glimmer.
And he walks over and he opens up this like incredibly ornate chest, diamond encrusted, crystals everywhere. As it opens, like you can feel arcane barriers like lifting as he like opens up the chest, and he takes a step back and gestures.
Have you ever stood in front of the fire and stared into its cause unblinking?
Of course. All the time.
Have you ever felt it stare back? Please.
And he takes like a further step back and gestures to the chest.
Well, I guess I'll go over and look in the box. Feels like
We'll
Pulp Fiction.
We'll start with a study arcane.
You got a good old +1 in that.
You do indeed. It's not the hardest thing to recognize. You realize immediately that you're not just staring at a small little shifting ember of fire. It is a shifting ember of primal fire. It is some of the truest essence of the magic that it can be. Even in this tiny form, you can feel an almost sentience-like purpose within it as it like lashes and wiggles around, trying to find a weakness in the arcane barriers that are preside around it. Roll me, or actually, I'll say this: do you continue to stare at it?
Yeah, I was about to study that joint. I was like, hey, let me look at this some more. Oh,
All right. Let's roll again. Study arcane.
Oh no. Oh, okay, that's not terrible.
As you, and I'll get to that in a second. Staring into it prolonged seems to have a wearing effect on you, though. So we need to roll against your stalwartness as well.
No. Get that 1 in stalwart. Almost got a 1 on the die. Holy moly.
Almost.
You feel yourself like you're not actually moving forward, but it's as if the floor is slipping beneath your heels, and like you have to force yourself to not enter like a trance-like state, and you hear these whispering words like burn, 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 burn. As you study the fire, you realize that there's a similar quality to that of the way the mud and the atmosphere of the mud fort interacts and operates, though on a infinitely smaller scale than what's going on at the mud fort. But the fire seems to create itself. Like you watch as it extinguishes, like at the edge of the flames, only to be rekindled at its core, despite the fact that there is no fuel for this fire. Do you continue to study it?
I stagger back. I look away.
Before you stagger back, to attempt to stagger back, stalwart check.
Oh.
You attempt to back up, and you almost have to kind of throw yourself back a little bit to get yourself out of visual range of it. And the Pale Lord comes back forward and closes the chest and relocks it and reseals it.
I feel like when Epsilon looks at Tavish, I feel like Like the light of the fire is still dancing in his eyes a little bit when he looks at him.
There's definitely an intensity. There's a feeling, and you're not the most sensitive to like arcane magics like in the air, Tavish, but in this instance, it's the visual sensation of like mud wine. Like you feel like for a brief moment you can see like the echoes of the arcane in Epsilon.
Eyes. Oh.
Are you all in there, lad? You seem a little lost.
Yeah, I'm good. It was that was something special. Never seen primal fire before.
I imagine most never do. I turn back to Zuzu and... What was the purpose of such a display, if you don't mind a non-magical layman to ask?
Have you never appreciated a blade that you know you would never wield?
It's like never wield.
I look down at the sword that I look down at the sword that I've had and think, no. I took this one, and now it is with me, always.
A whispering blade. How very peculiar.
It carries no
as he-
whispers, but
as,
of a
as
promise
he-
long given. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Continue. Promise long given.
It does not whisper, but it is a blade that was long promised, and a promise was made of. I cannot give it up until that promise is completed.
With the note of the whispers, and you don't know if it's the sense of because you stared into the fire. You don't know if it's like what it is, but you realize that you've been. It just seems so normal in the gray that your mind let it slip past you, Epsilon. But Tavish's blade now has the echo of some sort of magic, though it doesn't feel like the arcane. It feels like something older, something heavier.
Like older, like old, like the primal fire I just looked at, or older than that? Okay.
Like you wouldn't be able to time date it, but it feels somewhere reminiscent of that type of age.
I'm just looking at your sword suspiciously, just like. Yeah, that's right. You did have some. Didn't something weird happen after we fought that monster?
Aye. But now's not the time. We don't wish to waste the good efforts or the time of the Luminary, Luminarchy, Zuzu.
Well, I do appreciate the sentiment. Well, I
Must be
won't
on
keep
our
your
way.
time. Thank you for
We
visiting.
will do
our-
what we can. Thank you for having us. It is a truly beautiful place.
He nods in appreciation. As
Thank
you're
you for,
walking out,
showing me
What's
the. Thank you for showing me the flame.
And I have more enlightenment to give till our next meeting, Epsilon.
Oh no.
As you leave, you would note that like the stained glass does tell the story of like you see Keep Kolak, you see the uprising of the orcs, you see the battles in like the plains as the orcs were slaughtered. You see this one of a pale orc on a mountainside on his knees pleading to this massive like spectral arcane force, and then the next one is rain, 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 rain for multiple panels until the final like door or the final like stained glass depicts that of like the orcs standing triumphant in a field, nay, a sea of mud. And the two of you leave the temple. As the two of you are escorted by the same group of robed mercenary-like orcs, they take you to the previous guard group. That guard group escorts you, as promised, to the Mud Falls. From the Mud Falls, you meet up with a group of the Palumbi Raiders, who take you to the very tunnels that you yourselves cleared. These passageways are now a way that the orcs travel, so they don't have to use the muddy slopes and cavernous ravines. As you travel through this set of hallways, this almost cave-like or man-made cave-like structure, it's not lost on you that while a good culture of the orcs there are trying to set up shops and rekindle like the interior trade posts that you had seen and interacted with, the other half is not so lighthearted. They brandish weapons. They prepare for like mobilization. They've got defensive like outing like they're preparing defenses within the tunnel network, etc. These two groups of orcs seem to be split, each of them kind of keeping to their side.
Do we still have the guards that escorted? No, wait. We switched to Palumbi's Raiders.
Mm-hmm. And once you are in the tunnels, you are separate. You are now just the two of you.
I feel like no. I feel like I'm waiting until we're out of their territory and shit. Oh.
I will actually address. So, Epsilon.
Yeah.
I don't know the reason for the divide within its own people, but this is not normal. Think of any time that we've ever been at Ambervale, when we were at Knollhicks. Its people were united as one. With orcs, while the strong may lead, this is something different. I've not seen two sides countrymen act as if they're two separate sides of a very different coin.
I think
My question is, do you feel confident talking with some of the merchants as I attempt to speak with some of the guards?
what am I talking to them about?
Let them define what they wish to speak about. Ask questions and keep an open mind.
All right.
I won't be long. We still need to get to Vice. And you out of that debt.
Looks pained when you say that.
Hey,
So who wants to go
we'll do it
first? I'm
together.
sorry.
We'll do it together. No worry, lad. As I say, as I kind of give him a light punch on the shoulder.
I shall
I'll go
go.
All right.
My turn. Aha! Oh,
Oh, can I interest you in some wares?
And he's holding up like different like cloth like vests, cloth skirts, pants, things like that.
All 100% orc made.
well, I'm not actually looking for any wares at the moment, but I could have a moment of your time if that's all right.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask some questions. Me and my companion are here trying to see what we can do to make things better for orcs around here. Just wondering, is there anything that you're anything that you want to see change?
For me, it's the trade. I want to be in a market, not just with orcs, but with elves, with dwarves. I want my craft, my wares to have to compete against something that isn't so, well...
And he kind of like gestures, and a lot of the orc merchants are basically all selling the same thing. It is their culture. That's there's only so much variance found within the things and that they do. The materials they have, their approach to crafting, etc.
I see. So, you think that... Are you saying you want more competition? You want more eyes on the product? More materials to work with? These kind of things?
Exactly. You can't know that you've created something of worth and value if it's compared against, well, just the same.
Okay. What do you feel like is, in your experience, in the way of getting more people to trade? People don't want to come out here?
They fear us. We can't be something that people fear. It's not right. Other nations that are, less than certain terms find a way to create trade between them. Yet we're annexed as if we're beasts, monsters to be kept at a distance. And that needs to be alleviated. Our people, we like art, culture, we like to create, we like to build, just like anyone else.
Yes, and if trade was opened up, if more people were here, then more people would know that that was the truth.
Exactly.
Okay. He's thinking about this, and now he's feeling guilty about not really wanting to buy anything. He's looking again at the stuff. Is anything looking like it could be nice and stylish on Epsilon at this man's booth?
No. All of the orc stuff is like built for brutal efficiency.
I see. Anything that look like it could be mighty effective on on Epsilon that would be that inhibit him?
You may roll an investigate or a perception to sort through the items. Which would you like to pick?
That's going to be a good old perception because I got a 2 in it. Oh, I really did get a 2 in it. Oh no.
Oh wow.
No, you give it a genuine effort, but as you're just going like brown, tan, black, right? You're like, yeah, you guys make all the same stuff, and you like find yourself like you do your best to seem interested, but like you're bored immediately. You're like, where's like something that looks cool? Like none of this looks cool.
Oh, fuck me. Let me think about this. And like, what kind of stuff he said he got like vests and stuff like this, and like
Yeah, vests,
leather
pants,
works.
Like cloth and leather works. You would note that like even his cloth works though, like when you kind of like pull on it and like it's tough. Like you feel like it would be relatively like you could wear this in the like the hazardous environments of the mud fort. It's built to not like soak up mud. It's built to not rip easily. It's built to like not be like tugged or gripped, etc. Like it's a perfect fabric for existing in this climate.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your name, sir?
Foolatrack.
Bullertrack. Could I commission an item from you?
What did you have in mind?
Could you make me, I guess, that was cloth or leather or both, or whatever,
Yes,
either
cloth.
one is going to be good. Yeah, could you make something in my size, but make it black?
What did you have in mind?
Well, I'm a full, well, actually, I don't know. Something sleeveless.
I've got an idea. Come back and I'll have something for you.
How much would you like up front?
10 gold.
I give him 20 gold.
Thank you. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, I'm sure I won't. This it wears. They're just not quite my size, but I can tell the quality.
I appreciate it. You will not be disappointed.
He seems like self-assured and proud.
Should have wrote that man's name down. I already forgot his name. We just move
What
on.
was it again?
Over to
Trax?
Tavish. So Tavish, you approach one of the other side.
Yep.
As you're walking, you get close to him. This like non-genetic orc, he is an elf, is looking at you.
Can I help you?
Aye. That you might be able to do. I'm curious. You seem prepared and getting ready as if battle is close. And by the look that you're giving me, you're almost expecting it from me. So what
Well,
are you doing?
it's clear you're not one of us. Definitely no orc. As far as prepared, yeah. Our whole territory is under attack all the time. Mountain tribes, Keep Kolak, Ambervale.
So constantly prepared. And there's no other way upon it.
No.
Would you like to roll insight? That would be a
I would.
prompt. Let's see it.
I will roll insight. I do have a 1 in it, I believe.
You're not 100% sure on the severity of the lie, but you can definitely tell that there is an element of like he is lying. It's just to the degree in which that he is lying, you're not 100% sure.
He's lying about constantly being attacked.
No, the preparedness statement, like the purpose of preparedment.
I can understand that one must do all that one can to keep the ones that we care about safe. However, I worry that zeal can sometimes be taken too far. If you have the mind. Do you have training? Pits around here. I would be interested to see how orcs handle themselves.
And let's roll me a reflex.
Roll a reflex.
I've got a 2 in that, so hopefully.
Damn, that looking kind of spicy, boy.
I will let you decide your reaction to it. He leans forward and then attempts to just like spit in your face.
I grab his face in my hand aggressively and push him to a wall. My hand over his.
I will paint. No, you're able to overpower him quite easily, especially with the 18 and the reaction. It's sudden that you're able to do this. However, to paint a picture, so Epsilon, you're like, all right, no problem. Oh, okay, like we'll get that made, and you're like kind of turning around, like should I talk to somebody else? And like the hall immediately turns to shouting and yelling, and Tavish is holding an orc, non-genetic orc, against the wall, and orcs are like all heading in that direction, like weapons like becoming more bared.
I'm rushing on over.
And then Tavish, you would know no one is swinging on you yet, but like the orcs around you, like you feel blades levied against you.
You see. No, hold on. Sorry.
What can I say? That sounds cool here.
I respect that orcs always stand by their own. But is this orc not strong enough to stand behind his own actions? I turn to like the closest, like to catch eye or to try and make eye contact with like the closest orc, whether they be genetic or non-genetic orc.
The one you catch eyes with just goes,
I think it's best you leave.
Kind of push the elf back to the other orcs. Look at the rest of them like, all right then. I'll take my own way out. I make eye contact with the elf who attempted to spit in my face and be like, and wish to say, I always heard that the strength of an orc was in how he stands on his own actions. I hope you learn that lesson.
You speak the old words. They're not as followed these days. No orc can stand alone. Not with filth like you from kingdoms that pretend to care. Go back to doing your adventuring for someone who actually thinks it's gonna matter.
and he like is rubbing his jaw, clearly like in pain.
You should give your words a rest. Might do you some good. And head off.
As the two of you make it through the rest of the tunnels, you're able to get to the.
I also turned to Epsilon and be like, I hope you learn more about as much as I did.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with you, but I learned a little bit of stuff.
I learned that the group that we were wondering about, that's all armored and ready to go, they're afraid. They're afraid that others will try and take advantage of them at a moment's notice through strength of arms. They're paranoid, and they're never going to believe until we show them that we can, through our actions, that we mean well for their people.
Okay. Well, the merchant that I talked
Nothing
to.
that we didn't know already.
The merchant that I talked to, he seems like people want more trade, like as we knew. They want more opportunities. They want to be seen as equal amongst other people, and he believes that having a place where they can mix with other folk is the best way to do that. But I was gonna say, it seems to me there's two sides to the Mud Fort. There's the side that wants some measure of integration, and then there's the side that wants all orc for orc.
Aye. It's two sides that they're going to have to contend with. I believe it starts at the top. It will be difficult to see. Do you truly believe that Garok would want integration? Galatrak seems to desire it, but his father's head is too tough.
Where are
At
we?
least
as
that's
we're
what
talking?
my eyes see.
You
figure we
guys
were in the
are
tunnel,
nearing
so-
nearing the end of the tunnel, about to come out onto the trade roads.
I feel like at least want to wait a little till we get a little further before we continue talking. Just like looking around, just like.
I was kind of presuming that we were in the actual tunnels and not in the trade market spot.
The
Yeah, I
orcs
think we are.
like throughout the tunnel though, because especially the military side of them, they're at like the entryways, like the choke points. They're doing like repairs like all over the place, especially like militaristic repairs and things like that.
Understood. I figured that this was more of like hushed tones between the two of
Yeah,
us,
it's
not like we're
No,
talking
shut
out loud in a tunnel. Let's go.
As the two of you exchange stories from your interactions with the orcs, you do get to the end of the orc fairway and onto the trade road to keep Kolok. As you get onto the trade road, it's almost perfect timing, almost uncanny, in fact, as you hear a cart coming down the road, and standing on the cart, as she sees you, is none other than Sigma. Do you really owe all of this? And it's not one cart, but 4 carts full of these bags and barrels.
Oh my
all
god!
With the stamps of Procurement Inc. to Vice.
Fuck me.
Sigma isn't alone, however. Sequoia sits with her, and a figure you can't quite make out. She's in the back of one of the carts, and she seems to be like shuffling around a few things while she kind of makes herself a makeshift bed to lie down and rest. Sigma looks at the two of you and goes, "Well, come on. There's 4 carts. I don't have to drive all of them anymore. You can make yourselves useful. And with that, so comes an end to our 2-person session. As the party is rejoined, as they prepare to head to Vice. And while we will say a goodbye to Ian and James, Epsilon and Tavish, we're in an odd state. We have a 4-man crew, 4-player crew, if you will, but only 3 characters active. How will we make it all the way to Vice? A city of wonderful, wonderful joy.
Oh, Jesus.
That's certainly
Well,
interesting.
We're gonna have to, well, I'll just say it this way. Why don't you just stay tuned? We'll be right back. Damn it. We can't keep sending them into these places underpowered, understrengthed. We have to find them a new member. It's not gonna work like this. Darian, I understand, but it's not so easy. The group was working well together. I mean, I'm happy for Alina, of course. Few heroes get to have happy ends, but it's not like we can just slot someone in. Perhaps you're right, but it's not gonna work. This Vice place is gonna be difficult for them. And I mean, Sigma can help, but I think I have the perfect member for your team. I have an idea of someone that might fit in just ever so, well, perfectly. She's not supposed to be meddling with Emervale affairs directly, Darian. You said she would be a consultant for you, and you alone. Would it really be the worst thing to hear her out? It can't hurt anything, at least. Sigma, who did you have in mind? Well, I first came across them back during the World Fair. It was a crazy time. They were following all of the shows. Okram, the Thespians, the feel, the rush of the crowd, all of it. Her and her friend, from show to show, play to play. Unquestionably loyal on this journey of self-improvement. To really find a sense of purpose and to find, well, a new milestone. But it all came crashing down on one show. The final show. She found herself with her friend in the front row, as they had many, many other times. The two of them, knowing all the lines of the play, of the songs, of the enchanting performances being put on by the Thespians. The show was, of course, different, as the Thespians were with the king and with the Commissioner of Culture, watching the show, watching all of the lovely affairs of the farewell show of the World Fair. And then 2 intrepid adventurers would interrupt the entire program, causing quite a bit of a kerfuffle. Their accusations against the king at first, then to be corrected that it's about the Commissioner of Culture. As a black hole grenade was thrown, and the Commissioner of Culture was sucked into oblivion, gone completely. But then his hands would reach back into the realm that all of the onlookers would watch, and he would tear his way in a new draconic form back into the auditorium itself. Gold littering across the stage itself, the auditorium, the amphitheater, the seats, everything. In the craze of everything as the heroes of Ambervale did battle with this draconic force, the thespians joined the side of the dragon and would do battle with the heroes, seeing all sorts of chaos. Our new hero would look to their left to grab her friend's hand so they can make it out of the theater, but a hand is all she could see. Laid to waste by the gold that had come pouring out from the portal, from this draconic form, she looked at the motionless and already cooling hand of her friend. She stared up at this draconic force as it flew high into the sky, this bardic energy rippling out with every wing beat as this soaring cacophony of noise flew into the distance. And as it passed over the mountain, an explosion of light, color, and sound painted the very skies of the horizon. And a rumbling came, and a sinking feeling, as Keep Kolak was laid to waste by this enemy most foul. Shortly after, when the declarations of the rise of hero and this new age, she knew she had to do something. She had something to fight for. Someone to fight for. Well, at least the memory of someone. And without further ado, the new character joining our group, and I will let you intro your character, is none other than...
I'm back. No, we all knew me. My name's Alicia. My new character that is joining the party, her name is Lyra. And that is Lyra, not Lyra. Get it right. She is from Keep Kolak. She stands about 5'2". She's pretty short. She likes to dress very fun. I feel like she likes to stand out. She's young. She's in her 20s. She wants to be seen. So it might not be the best for an adventurer, but she didn't start off that way. She traveled to Ambervale to see the World's Fair because she can manipulate sound. She can amplify sound. So she wanted to meet the thespians because they were celebrities. She was a fan. She was fangirling. She had to make it there. She essentially hitched a ride on a caravan through a trade route to make it to Ambervale because travel is expensive and the roads are not always safe. Made it to Ambervale, and after the events of the World Fair, kind of found herself not knowing what to do. She had no home to go back to. Her friend was gone. She was there alone. But she still wanted to learn more about what she could do and try to improve, get better. It wasn't going to be through the thespians, and they kind of closed the Bard's College because it wasn't a good look after all of that happened. So she decided her best route of action was to stay and hopefully be able to join an adventuring party so she can still travel to all these far off places and hopefully learn more about herself in the process.
It is a very exciting time. I can't wait to see this character in action. Sound-based magic is going to be a very fun one to play around with. So it's going to be, a whole lot of fun. It's always going to be cool to see characters slot into the story, how they're going to interact with the other heroes and adventurers that we have. The personality that builds around the role play. Do you have a voice in mind yet, or where are we with that?
when I was thinking about it, she was very, hey y'all. And it so it turned into that. It'll be a lot of hey y'all, like, sweetheart, honey, baby doll. That's how she's gonna go.
Okay, I dig it. I dig it. I like a character with a little flair, a little sass. That's always fun. And we don't really have
Mhm.
a character that's throwing around that type of attitude within the party. So I think it'll be a nice fit. We've got a little bit of a muted party, save for Tavish and his his sing-songy nature. And no,
Yeah.
I very much look forward to seeing how these characters start to interact, who ends up liking who more, etc. It's always a fun time when it comes to that. So, but if you want to see this character in action and you want to know more about the story and figure out what is driving them forward, you're going to have to tune into the next cinematic epic, which will be on June 12th. It'll be our full episode. We will have the cast back all in one spot, and it's going to be awesome as we head over to the city of Vice. But until such a time, thank you for tuning in. Have a great day, great night, or great whatever time it is when you watched. Bye-bye.